You already know what Avatar is. Earth, water, fire, the whole shebang. And you probably like this Avatar show, but maybe not this one. Or maybe you like both, in which case you deserve a round of applause, because The Legend of Korra is honestly overhated. But not this guy. I hate this guy. If you haven't seen The Legend of Korra, I don't really blame you because nothing can really top The Last Airbender, but I feel like some aspects of The Legend of Korra go overlooked. Some of my favorite Avatar episodes come from this show, but most of them come from The Last Airbender. I'll tell you which ones I think are the best. I'm sure some of them are common favorites, but I still like talking about them. There are so many good episodes in these shows that it's honestly hard to choose which ones are my favorite. I know it's dumb to call the Avatar shows underappreciated because they are very much appreciated, but I don't know, it's almost unfair how amazing The Last Airbender is. And even The Legend of Korra has moments that would surprise many people.
Whoa! Damn!
Revisiting these shows is like annual therapy for me, so let's do it. Also, I'm just gonna count the multi-part episodes as one episode because I see it as one story. If you disagree with my top picks at any point, it is your responsibility to rewatch these episodes and tell me how much you like them, because I promise you, they're even better than you remember. So get up out of your chair and take a walk with me while I explain why these episodes are so good. Yes, we're starting off with The Legend of Korra, because guess what? These episodes are the bomb. They're called Beginnings Part 1 and Part 2, and they tell the story of the first Avatar, Avatar Wan. And yes, Season 2 of Korra is not very good.
So, that kiss. I liked it.
Shut up!
And it seemed like you liked it too.
But while these two episodes don't fix Season 2, they can stand alone as some of the best straight up Avatar shit you've seen. First of all, let me just state the obvious. Avatar shows have always had really good animation that is expressive, lively, and colorful, and sometimes just outright hilarious. But just look at the animation in these episodes. It's distinct from the rest of The Legend of Korra and has this old-timey look that's meant to signify that these episodes are set in the distant past. The bending looks so damn cool in this style. In a weird way, the animation reminds me of the Ember Island Players episode of The Last Airbender, but it makes the 2D style look amazing. The story also goes pretty hard. Wan is a worthy protagonist in first Avatar. The first thing we see him do is steal from the rich to feed the poor, which shows he has the right intentions. He seeks power out not just for himself but to help others, and even when he has it, he refuses to use it to hurt people. Aside from Wan, the best parts of these episodes by far are the world building. These episodes expand on lore that was underexplored in The Last Airbender. So if you like any of the lion turtle shit, you're gonna like this. You wanna know where the Avatar state originated? Then you gotta watch this too. Spirits, divided nations, bending, these episodes tell you everything you need to know. But it's not just exposition dumps either. Wan gets to explore this world himself, and through him we learn about the rich history of the Avatar world. I like Wan's hero's journey and this spirit guy who's goofy just for the hell of it, but also malicious. There are also some cool callbacks to The Last Airbender. I think Wan sets the perfect example for what the Avatar should be, and I'm glad we get more elaboration on why the Avatar is the bridge between the spirit and material world, and why they have to master all four elements, yada yada yada. And what I like the most about this story is that the first Avatar wasn't born with their incredible abilities. Wan had to earn it, and he went through a lot of struggles to get there, but he showed that being the Avatar isn't about having power or being the best bender. It's about having the will to strive for a better world no matter what. Being the Avatar is being the hope that other people need. So yeah, these episodes are honestly essential viewing for any Avatar fans. Season 1, Episode 2 of The Last Airbender set the bar high for how good this show can be, and it still surpassed it later. This episode is a perfect introduction to the series. I like Episode 1, but Episode 2 takes things up a notch with the humor, action, and character writing. From this point forward, I'm convinced that I'm watching a really good show. Most of the main characters in the entire show are in this episode. They have to be likable, believable, and well written, and I believe this episode portrayed almost every character in a compelling and interesting way. This guy's angry, this guy's happy.
I like to play airball and eat banana cakes and goof off with my friends.
This guy's sleepy, and these guys are family. In all seriousness, this episode single-handedly gives meaningful character motivations to every character besides maybe Iroh and Sokka, but they get excellent character work later. The central conflicts within Aang about being the Avatar are introduced and pique the audience's interest about his backstory. We also get to see the Avatar state in action for the first time, and from now on we know that when Aang looks like this, he means business. This whole sequence where Aang escapes captivity is cute and fun and completely sells the action in this show. Also, you get to hear one of the best television soundtracks ever. This episode sets the tone for the rest of the series as a fun, emotional, and epic journey. If this episode doesn't get you hooked on Avatar, I don't know what will. If you ask any Avatar fan who's the best Avatar character ever, they'll probably say Zuko. And honestly, I probably agree with them, either Zuko or Iroh, because they are the best written characters in these shows. And a big reason why is season 2 of The Last Airbender. We get small glimpses into Zuko and Iroh's backstory in season 1, but in season 2, they both become fully fleshed out characters, and these two elevate the show from great to amazing. Zuko alone is an episode fully dedicated to Zuko. You left Iroh and he's off to fend for himself, still searching for the Avatar in hopes of regaining his honor, even though he's a fugitive on the run from the Fire Nation. He meets and helps strangers in a small town. It's the most honorable thing he's done up to this point in the show. We get to see the personal side of Zuko as he learns for himself the pain that the Fire Nation causes. This coincides with flashbacks from his childhood where he plays with his mother, gets bullied by his sister Azula, and is hated by his father. From this episode, we understand things from Zuko's perspective, why he's so stubborn, full of hate and rage. Most of it has to do with his relationship to his sister and father, who are both abusive and evil. This episode convinces anyone that Azula is just one crazy power-hungry monster just like her father. Zuko struggling to find inner peace after losing his mother and being banished by his father adds layers of complexity to his character that even a child could understand. He's a universally loved character, I think, because he has a lot of relatable struggles, besides being heir to an empire. At Zuko's core is an identity conflict where he sees himself differently than how everyone else sees him. His father and sister see him as weak, his uncle sees him as strong, the Avatar sees him as misguided, and the strangers in this town see him as brave. At the end of the episode, he reveals who he thinks he is. He carries some false sort of pride to feed the hope that he can be loved by his family again, and all it does is make the townspeople hate him. It's a powerful moment in the show, and one that's crucial to Zuko's character development. Is it worth it to hang on to this false pride? To be fair, I probably wouldn't like this episode as much as I do if I didn't know what happens next, but since I do, I can appreciate this episode as a massive piece to the puzzle of Zuko's story, who just happens to be one of the best characters in television history. And that's why it's one of the best Avatar episodes ever. What's there to say about Sozin's comment that hasn't already been said? It's a satisfying conclusion to one of the best shows ever. Everything built up naturally to this epic finale, and it's damn near perfect. Aang wants to defeat the Fire Lord without killing him, but everyone, even the past avatars, don't give Aang any alternatives. But he doesn't give up and shapes his own destiny as an avatar of peace and not violence. Zuko also gets his final confrontation with Azula, in which he finally has the upper hand over his tormented sister. Zuko's character development is on full display as he works with Katara to take down Azula after working hard to gain her trust in previous episodes. And Zuko almost makes the ultimate sacrifice to save Katara from Azula's lightning. Now that's a guy who's regained his honor. The balanced Zuko versus the paranoid Azula offers a stark contrast to the impulsive Zuko versus the smart and calculating Azula that we saw in season 2. Azula's ascension into madness began with Mai and Ty Lee betraying her and reaches a beautiful peak here, where she lets her trust issues cause her own demise.
There's something off about her. I can't explain it, but she's slipping.
A closer look into Azula's mind reveals how twisted she's become due to her thirst for power, and for the first time in the show, I feel sort of sympathetic towards her. Old friends from previous episodes reappear as part of the secret society of the White Lotus as they help retake Ba Sing Se. The action, visuals, and character moments have never been better in this grand finale. The emotional story beats between Zuko and Iroh, Aang and Katara, and Zuko and Aang are all strong highlights. Everything in this finale feels earned and true to these characters. I honestly couldn't have drawn up a better way to end the show. It's just a fun ride from start to finish and gives the closure that the show and fans need. Besides what happened to Zuko's mother. The number one pick probably comes as no surprise, but it's also the right pick. If I had to tell someone what makes Avatar so good with a single episode, it would be this episode. Obviously, they would have to watch the rest of the show to grasp why this episode is so amazing. But quite simply, this episode encapsulates what makes Avatar so beloved: its characters. The episode gives just about every main character a short story, hence the title, The Tales of Ba Sing Se. This episode does such a great job of showing us well-developed characters and relationships. In Toph and Katara's tale, they have a girl's day out, and it's so impactful to see them share moments of vulnerability with each other, especially when not too long ago they weren't bonding at all. These simple tales reveal the depth of these characters as they grow up. Seeing Aang solve an Avatar problem using his wit and bending adds more depth to his character, because even though losing Appa had the biggest toll on him, he still takes the time to help others and not just people. Sokka's tale has him in a rap battle.
Squish squash, sling that slang. I'm always right back at you, like my boomerang.
And even Momo's story is really good. But the two standout tales belong to Zuko and Iroh. Zuko's tale shows him being affectionate towards someone, something that you wouldn't have thought was possible in Season 1. And Iroh's tale, well, it's just amazing. It's a beautiful homage to the original voice actor of Iroh, who sadly passed away. It's also an incredibly sad tale where he mourns the death of his son on his birthday and throws him a picnic. At the end of Season 1 and in the episodes leading up to this one, we get closer and closer to Iroh and start to understand why he cares for Zuko so much. Planting the seeds of Iroh's tragedy before this episode made the payoff of this one scene immensely more emotional. The whole story shows Iroh helping others, using his wisdom to guide and support. And at the end of the day, on the hill where he and his son used to play together, he says,
"If only I could have helped you."
Damn. I cry every time I watch this tale. The writers care about these characters so much, which makes the audience care for them even more. The emotional depth and struggles of these characters are what make them so amazing. To me, this is Avatar, and I will always think back to this episode of a children's show that had so much emotional impact on me as a kid, and even now as an adult. Obviously, this list excluded a lot of great Avatar episodes, and it's worth mentioning some that just missed being in the top 5. The Legend of Korra Season 3 has an amazing finale called Venom of the Red Lotus, and it caps the best season in the show. The pilot of Korra is also one of my favorites because it's fun and different. You could also sort through much of Season 2 and 3 of The Last Airbender and find some really good episodes. I'll just show you my list of honorable mentions so you know which ones I'm talking about. There are so many great videos on Avatar: The Last Airbender, and for good reason. One of the beauties of a great show is that different people will like it for different reasons. Being fortunate enough to have seen these shows at several different times in my life has given me new perspectives on every rewatch. I don't know many shows that have aged as magically as The Last Airbender has, so appreciate it, love it, and enjoy it. And tell me your favorite episodes of Avatar ever. I'm sure they won't be better than my list.